Hey y'all, just put together I guess a pre-practice, or we're going to be doing this in our strength and conditioning sections. So pre-strength and conditioning session, warm-up. Going to be incorporating some work with the feet this year. Hey y'all, so just put together a pre-practice, pre-strength and conditioning session warm-up for y'all this year. I'm going to put it up on YouTube. It's going to be incorporating some new stuff, mainly with the feet. We're going to be doing this mobility routine before every strength and conditioning session so that you can really get used to it. So I hope you enjoy it. I've seen a lot of benefit from it, doing it over the last month and with my clients. So we're going to start here. I have the computer out to go through it to make sure I get everything right in the right order. I'll just kind of demonstrate everything today, and then when we're in the strength and conditioning sessions, we'll be going over it in detail, and then that's where you can ask some questions and we can kind of feel it out as we go. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is warm up our hips, our spine, and our cervical neck. So what we're going to do is lie down on the ground. Now another option for this might be doing it against a wall. So we're going to do that in our orientation, and I'll show you that variation as well. But some places we go to might not have wall access, so I'll show you how to do this on the ground. So I'm going to lie on the ground, and what I want to do is I'm going to bring my ribs up, create an arch in my back, and then bring my chin down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push my ribs into the ground, and then I'm going to bring my chin up. And we'll explain why when we do these in the strength and conditioning. If I go through why with everything, this video will be very long. Again, I want it to be manageable. All right? So here we go. So I'm on my back, ribs go up, chin comes down. Ribs come down, chin goes up. Now what I can do too is with my palms. When my ribs come up, my palms are fully rotated out. You can think that as palm up. Palm up and out, chin down, ribs up. And I do the opposite with the hand, and the ribs go down. Rib down, chin up. I'm rotating the palms. See how my shoulders are coming forward? I just rotate, so it looks like this. Really rotate. More every time. Right there. So that's called our ground columns. That's the first one that we're going to be doing. The next one on here is spiral fronts and sagittals. So we're going to stand up for this one. Now what a spiral is it's going to move your shoulders and your ribs. So one palm is going to go up, the other palm is going to go down. It's going to look like this. And in the sessions, we're going to talk about what your feet are doing as well. I'm just trying to keep equal balance on my foot. We call this the foot tripod. So as my palm goes up, this shoulder rotates back, this palm goes down, shoulder down. And I always want to keep my eyes horizontal, right here. So it looks like this. So these are our frontal spirals. See all the movement I'm getting. We don't want this, right? And then we're going to work in the sagittal plane, which is front to back. Same thing with the feet. And now I'm just going in front. Side view, as my palm goes up, I reach in front. Take it out. So this palm's going up, this palm's going down. Really try to get more rotation out of the hands every time. Third one we got, foot floor rotation. So what we're going to do here, we're going to talk about how the foot works. Basically all you're doing here is I'm just bringing that knee forward. Again, we're going to talk about how this works. If my right leg's forward, I'm going to take my right hand, and I'm going to rotate the palm up. So it just kind of looks like this. And we're going to go over all this and learn it before you see this video. So what I'm doing is opening the rib cage and coming forward with my knee. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I take my other arm. Now I'm going to bring my ribs in and rotate to the other side. Here, and now the palm comes down. So I'm bringing my ribs over my hip is over my foot. So it's here. It's here. And we're going to talk about why we make this movement with the knee just coming inside the foot. And I'm thinking about a nice foot tripod all the time. Again, we're going to talk about what that means as well. Today I'm just demonstrating, I'm not really going into much detail. So again, left leg, open. So I'm really driving that shoulder back. Hips are above the foot. It's going to bring my rib cage over top of my hips. Right there. Okay, and then I come across. So this is really good for the rotation. Good for glute activation too. So that's a foot forward with a rotation. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to talk about hips, mainly with the spine. So we're going to learn how to tilt our hips, how to bend. Okay, so the first one we have is standing hip tilt. So what I'm going to do, now this was the hardest one for me to learn, is I'm going to bend one knee. That's going to tilt my hips down. And then what I do is I reach up on that side. Now the head should tilt a bit, eyes should be flat. And then I come to this side. It's quite a tough movement, honestly. It took me almost half an hour to get this one down where I can move like this. So a lot of people have a hard time shifting the hips. The head kind of wants to come over here. Right, I'm just tilting. Tilting. And I'm always up, so I always have my head over my ribs, over my hips. We always want to stay out of these positions. Okay, so again, this is the hip tilt. When we get good at this, it should take us 15 minutes to get through this whole thing. Whatever knee bends, that arm goes up. So that's the hip tilt. Alright, the next one we have is the hip side bend. So now I'm taking my spine and I'm bending. You're going to feel a lot of good stuff in your hips. For tripod, heavy arm, hip goes upwards. I like doing these on the wall personally because I get really good feedback. Put my head and my butt and my back on the wall. So I'm just getting really heavy. Legs are fairly straight. Now the biggest mistake I see with this one is people do this. So you don't access that lower spine. So I want to be here. So it's like I'm moving my butt out. Notice my head is always horizontal with the eyes. It's not like this. It's like this. So that's important because the head's got to move with the hips. Again, we're going to talk about why that's important. Oh, this is really good. I can feel it. Excellent. Okay, now we're going to put in a rotation. So when we do this kind of in the weight room, I'm going to bring you through the series of how we step, how the foot moves through the phases of stepping. Today I'm putting the middle step into this part just to make it easier because then we're standing and it's just faster, basically. So what I'm going to do here, this is to work on warming up your mid stance while you're running, skating, all that's just walking. All right, what you're going to do is just tripod the feet, and I'm going to rotate to one side. Now, whichever side I rotate to, this is the key, is I straighten that knee. And if you look at my foot, when I straighten that knee, the foot will move right there. See the big toe moving? I'm not sure if you can see that. You're getting some movement out of the foot. So it's just rotate, straighten knee. I'm getting as far as I can. And then I come to the other side. I rotate, straighten knee, just go back and forth. So this is your mid stance. This is when the foot supinates, and we'll talk about that. Straight knee. Remember to straighten your knee. Alright, the next one we got on here, this is going to be the back stance. Think of it as the push off when you're running. Alright, so what you're going to do here is we're going to get into our split squat again position. Sort of kind of split squat. And what I'm trying to do is I'm bringing my knee forward. Okay, we're going to talk about this position as well, tripod. And I'm taking that back knee and I'm rotating it out. So I don't know if you can see, I'm trying to give you a visual here. Right here, the back knee is rotating out. Now my whole foot isn't turning, right? So I'm here, back knee is rotating out. So I come down, back knee rotates out, right there. Come down, back knee rotates out. So we're putting a little bit of a hip rotation. Now again, I gotta make sure I'm stacking ribs, head on the hips. This really feels really good on my hips. So again, the foot's not turning. I'm gonna talk about that back tripod. Rotate the knee out. Now if I wanna make it a bit harder, hand up. On this side, where the leg is back, and I rotate the knee out. So I'm just taking that knee, I'm rotating it out from the hip. So it's actually a hip rotation, not a knee rotation. So on this side, forward, rotate, hip out, and back. Now really, this has helped me a lot. Out. Okay, and then hand up, out, and back. Rotate it up. So again, so you can see with me, I come forward. Got to pay attention to that here. And out. Notice how that knee is really coming forward. I'm really just trying to stack my hips on my foot. Because when we're walking, our hips should be, or running, your hips should be right over your foot. That's kind of that forward lean we talked about when we're sprinting. Excellent. So that's the foot forward with hip rotation. All right, one more new one, and then we get into some stuff that we know. This is going to stretch kind of the calf, arch of the foot, hamstring, all the way up to the base of your skull. So what you're going to do is you're going to lift your toe up. All right, now this position might be hard. It will get better. I find with a couple of my clients, they have a hard time keeping this big toe up and putting those down. That's okay. Just keep working on trying to drive that big toe up. All right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit into it, palms up and out, and I'm throwing my chest out. And whenever I throw my chest out, I bring my chin down. So it looks like this. I'm going to talk about why the head moves this way when the chest goes out. Essentially, the head's got to follow hips. So a lot of people are used to this. And that's contradictory to what anatomy tells us. Really good, I love this one, right through the posterior chain there. And then on this side again, so toe stays up. This is where you get that stretch, right here. Right here. Right here. All right, we'll talk about how many times to do this. Again, at the beginning, we're just going to start really slow, learning the movements, and then we'll get into a nice recipe there. All right, now we're going to get into some movements we know. So the first one is the pretzel. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to rotate to one side, right hand, so I rotate it to my left, right hand on my left foot. So this is going to stretch your quad, and then I'm just sitting on it here. Now what I like to do, we're going to kind of get away a bit from static stretching and get more into movement. So I'm going to come here. And I'm just going to kind of move into it. And then I would obviously do the other side. Hold it up. Just moving into it. So we're really going to try to get away from some static stuff, and we'll explain why as we get on with things. So I have a towel. So when you're doing this on the gym floor, you might want a towel. It's just something for the knee. We'll kind of figure that out as we go. All right, so this is going to be for the groin a little bit. I really enjoy these, so we're just going to call this a leg out rock right here. I'm just going to rock back and forth. Side view. Now I can put an opener in too, so what that means is put an opener in there too. And then I can open the other side if I wanted. So it just depends. If you find that you're tight in your rotation, you might want that. And then we would do that on the other side. So now we're going to add in an overhead squat movement. So what you're going to do is throw your hands above your head. You're going to squat. Now with me, my arms are going to come forward, very tight in my shoulders. All right, but if you could keep your hands above your head, that would be great. Then I'm going to grab my toes. I'm going to straighten my legs. Nice stretch. I'm going to come back down. I'm going to put my arms up and come up. So it's just going to look like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Again, try to get your hands above your head. That's always a challenge for me. Alright, this one's called the world's greatest. And what you're going to do for this one is I'm just going to get into like a Spider-Man position. That inside elbow is going to go down. I'm going to replace with the hand, and I'm going to open up. So it's 1, 2, 3. All right, that's it. That's world's greatest. 1, 2, 3. Back leg nice and straight the whole time. All right. Again, if you have a hard time with that, you could keep the back leg down. All right. It's the world's greatest. Next one, we have inchworms. So what an inchworm is we're in this position, so a little bit of movement now. Now in this position, to make it just a little bit more beneficial, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna look over my shoulders. That's gonna bring my left hip down, and over the shoulder and bring my right hip down. So you feel a little bit more pull on the front to the side. And then I walk up here, and I'm just gonna touch that toe, and then I walk out again. You can make sure I'm back in the camera. And then I would do this again. So I kind of be walking forward. Right now, because of the camera, I'm just staying in the same spot. Up, touch that toe, touch that toe. All right, 3 more to go. So next one's called the Spider-Man flow. This is called the Spider-Man position. Now you can have this back knee down if you want. You can have it up if you want. It's up to you. And what you're going to do is just bring the hands in here. Now I'm trying to keep that back leg straight. Then I'm going to come to the middle. Then I'm going to try to go over top of this leg here. This will be the hardest movement. Okay, so we're just flowing. Flowing, opening up the groin. Feels good. Very popular, very effective. Okay, and then the other side here. Flowing, so you'll see a little bit more limitation on the side for me, but getting better, So that's the Spider-Man flow. This is the 90-90 flow. All right, so just to say, I'm in bare feet today, just so you can see how my feet are working, because we're going to talk about that. When you do this before your practice, if you can do it in your socks, that's the best, because you're engaging the foot. We're going to talk about that as well. In the weight room, we're going to be doing it in our socks. I'm in bare feet, and my pants are up so you can see my knees and my feet and how they're moving. Okay, so 90-90 flow. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to be in this position here. Toes up, heels down. I'm going to put my knees down. All right, so I'll give you this side. Knees down. Want to be able to try to sit up. I'm going to reach across. Nice stretch right here. Then I'm going to come over the knee. And then I'm going to come to the ankle. And then I'm going to grab here and pull. Now I'm going to do it on the other side so you can see the difference. So this side's a bit tougher for me. So I'm here. Sitting up, you can see a little bit more lean. So I'm going to come across. And then I'm going to come down. Then I'm going to come over to the ankle. And then you're going to see this a little harder to get over here. All right. And then the last one we have is a spinal rotation finisher. So all I'm going to do, come over here on my back, straighten up my leg, bring this knee over top, and
I'm just going to open up. Just like that. So I'm pushing the knee down. If you have a foam roller, you can put it there. Pushing the knee down. And I'm opening up. Trying to touch that elbow to the ground. Just like that. You can also do it this way. I like this. I get a little bit more of my glute. So I'll give you some variations.
All right, and that's your pre-practice and pre-strength and conditioning warm-up. And again, we're going to go over all this together. Hope you enjoy it.